All right, everybody. Good afternoon slash early evening. We are done with the draft. We are done with all 7 rounds, all 259 picks, and most importantly for us, all 10 Seattle Seahawks selections. We went through 4 rounds today, a lot of picks. It was definitely a lightning round. We got through over 150 today alone, and the Seahawks went 6 times, and they did some things that matter. So let's run it down. Let's recap the action today with these 6 picks, what went down, and let's talk about what's coming up here. Because the day is not over. The draft is over, but the day is not. There's going to be some very interesting stuff that goes down over the next couple of hours, at least, I would say. So, today, what we saw was the Seahawks addressing the concerns that most people had about them from last year. That's basically what happened. They decided, okay, now we're going to address the problems that people had from 2022, where teams ran all over us. They chose now to do it, which is going to annoy and frustrate some people. I understand that. But I believe that this team believes that they can address the problem without spending super high picks on it. They don't need to spend a first-round pick on a Mozzie Smith. They don't need to spend a second-round pick on a Keanu Benton. Because if you're just looking for guys who can stop the run, you typically don't have to spend high-value picks. It seems like it at the time, because when you're going into the draft, you're taught just kind of naturally to expect the players that go high to be the most impactful ones, and the guys that go low to be not very impactful. But when you're talking about guys who just need to do their job, fill their gap against the run, hold up, not get pushed around, you don't need explosion, you don't need great athleticism, you don't need upper level potential. You just need somebody who can hold strong in the middle and do their job. You just need somebody who can tackle. You just need somebody who can follow an assignment. You're not looking for superstar type stuff. You're not looking for Hall of Fame potential. You're just looking for guys who do their job. You don't have to spend those high picks. And the Seahawks decided to stick to that philosophy. And I thought it was very interesting that the first 4 picks the Seahawks made today were about either helping the Seahawks run the ball or helping the Seahawks stop the run. They didn't do a lot of that in the first 100 picks. They mostly focused on improving their offense's passing games. I know Charbonnet kind of goes both ways, but Charbonnet, I think, is going to be by and large a third down back. So I look at that and I go, okay, that's a move that is meant to help our third down offense more than anything else. And Jackson Smith, obviously, very much going to help the third down offense. And then you have a pass rusher and a cornerback. These are signings that you make when you're worried about your passing game, your passing defense, and your passing offense. And then you get to round 4 and 5, and then you start going, okay, let's get a guard and center of the future with Oluwatimi and Bradford. And Bradford was a good pick, not my favorite pick. It was a good pick. I didn't dislike it. We're going to have to wait and see on him a little bit, admittedly. I don't know how he's going to fit the scheme based on what I saw at LSU. He's a little slow, not very mobile. But, on the other hand, he tested really well. So, kind of a wait and see there. But Oluwatimi is an amazing pick. The value is there. The need is there. The scheme fit is there. Everything is there with Oluwatimi. And to get him in the 5th round, to know that you have a guy who is probably going to be your, I would go so far as to say, year 2 starter. I think you can kind of pencil him in for being a starter by year 2 on the Seahawks. That's phenomenal. So you addressed the interior of the offensive line, but you didn't do it until today. And that's what is going to rankle some people, but the team has decided they're not going to chase just because of how things went in 2022. They're going to stick to their process there. And then on the defensive line, they decided, okay, we're going to get some big run stuffers in there. We got Cameron Young, a nose tackle, little undersized, but he played zero tech at Mississippi State, and I think he can do it in the NFL. He can add a little bit of weight if he needs to. He's got a good frame for it. And then you get Mike Morris, a guy who I wasn't sure about until it was clarified that he now weighs about 295 pounds. You put all that together, and suddenly everything makes sense. This guy's going to play on the inside. This guy's going to be a 3-4 end or a 3 tech, one of the two. And in that role, I think he's going to be very good. He's a stout run defender who also brings a little bit of pass rush. But with that pick, with those two picks, you are now addressing the run, because those two guys, their primary use case is as run stuffers. You didn't get your run stuffers in the first 100 picks. You got them today with your 4th and 5th round picks. And that represents, I think, a commendable sticking to a reasonable process, not overdrafting and panicking because our run defense was so bad last year. So I get it. Now, that was the meat of the draft today, the 4th and 5th rounds. We got guys who I believe are going to play immediately in Young and Morris. I don't know if they're going to play a lot, but they will play. You've got Bradford, who I think can at least has a chance against Phil Haynes, although I don't think he'll beat him out. And Oluwatimi has a chance against Evan Brown. But bottom line is, both of those guys are going to be part of the plans in 2024. So it's fine. And then you get Jarek Reed, a guy that you really liked from UDFA. I don't know a lot about him because it's hard to find anything about him, but clearly we liked him. He tested really well, and we're going to have just about the best secondary in the NFL. We're going to have an insanely good secondary. There's no doubt about it. We're going to have a lot of guys back there that we really like, and next year we have the ability to move on from a lot of them without putting the team at risk. We're going to be able to move off of a lot of our defensive backs and feel comfortable that we have the depth to take it on. And we wrapped it up with another really good value pick with Kenny McIntosh. So we come out of this draft with 2 running backs, which is exactly what I said we probably needed to do. It was either 2 draft picks or 1 pick in a really good UDFA. So I would say that is a pretty successful day. And I just like the fact, and I appreciate the fact, that this really bore out the overarching strategy that the Seahawks went into this draft with. The first several picks, the top 100 picks, they go to guys who are going to help the passing game, the third down offense, and the defensive passing game. And then when you get to day 3, then you start saying, okay, let's spend some resources on improving our interior offensive line and our run defense. You didn't overdraft because you felt the need to panic because that was the problem last year. And I like that more than panicking. Not to say that I would have hated getting Mozzie Smith or Keanu Benton or Siaki Ika or any of the other run stuffers that people were talking about. But I like what we did here because we stuck to our process. We stuck to a reasonable and logical thought process, and we thought, okay, how do we make this team better? What are the best ways to make this team better? What were the things that really held us back last year? Yes, run defense, but also we were a bad team on third down. We were one of the worst teams in the league on third down going both ways. So let's get the third down part of this team down by bringing in a couple running backs so that way we're not stuck with guys off the street starting because K9 and DJ Dallas and Travis Homer and Rashad Penny all got hurt. So we do that. We bring in a guy like JSN to catch on third down. We bring in a pass rusher. We bring in a cornerback. It's all about third down to me. And look, there's still time. So this is our draft right now. These 10 guys are our current draft picks. We picked up an extra third next year, which was pretty cool, I think. We'll feel very differently about it in a year. But there are a lot of players who did not get picked that we can now go get in UDFA. So I'm going to go monitor the start of UDFA. I know a lot of guys have already gotten signed. I know a lot of guys have already gotten picked up. I know there's a lot going on with Emil Ekiyor Jr. because it was a miracle that he didn't get drafted. I have no idea what happened. Bryce Ford Wheaton, as far as I know, is still out there. Gerard Clark somehow got to UDFA. Don't know how. Jalen Redmond, Ivan Pace Jr. There are a lot of guys we can still get that I think will make a significant impact on the team. So the work is not yet done. If we got Gerard Clark, I would expect him to play I'd say at least 15 snaps a game for us in 2023. I really do believe that. If we got a guy like Bryce Ford Wheaton, I think he would get on the field probably over the course of the year 8 to 10 times a game and possibly catch 15, 20 passes over the course of the year. And that's going to make some kind of an impact. You bring in Rajon Wright, maybe he doesn't get on the field that first year, but you can develop him. So there is still a chance to impact the bottom line of this team in 2023. It is not over yet. A lot of guys who I thought for sure were going to get drafted did not. There were 3 guys in my top 100 who went undrafted. Not saying I'd necessarily want all of them because in some situations it doesn't really make sense. But the value is there. There's an opportunity to get valuable pieces here in these next few hours. And I can see a couple guys already going off the board. So I'm going to go ahead, wrap this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating in this really fun series of days. But I think that people are going to be feeling a lot better about this draft now that we finally addressed the obvious needs. We still have work to do. It still probably won't be great. But I respect and admire and appreciate the measured approach. They didn't panic. They didn't overreach. They didn't overthink the problem. They just decided we will deal with the problem in our own way. We will deal with the problem in a measured and reasonable way. We are not going to lose our minds trying to address the problem from last year on the surface level. We're going to try to make this team better in a way that isn't as obvious, but will actually be more impactful in the long run. All right, so I'm going to stream for a little bit longer, try to figure out what happens with the rest of the UDFAs, try to figure out where these guys go. See you guys soon. Go Hawks. And, yeah, it's over, people. We did it.